Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, financial planner and wealth manager, and I'm joined this week and every single week by my dad, Jeff Lapidus, financial planner and wealth manager, retirement coach, and my husband, Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a real strategy, a written step-by-step plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to provide an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Erin, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Gang, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morn.
It's fun to be dressed up like Green Lantern this morning and enjoying our 20th anniversary show.
Is this the official 20th anniversary?
This is the official 20th anniversary following the 30th anniversary of KTRS's station, which is really fun.
2 decades.
It's another way to say it.
That's the nice way to put it. I appreciate that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about our 20-year journey. But before we do that, we do want to remind everybody there are lots of ways that you can keep in touch with us during the week.
That's right. Log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. You can click on the Contact Us button and request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or you can click on the Sign Up button and request our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. You can access it every single month, but Rob does keep the last 6 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months updated.
Got plenty of content on the website for you guys to dive into. And in our May 2026 newsletter, we got some great articles you're sure to enjoy. The first one, The Voice of Experience, Advice on Aging from Older Americans. More than 2,500 Americans aged 65 and older were asked what advice they would give to younger people on preparing for getting older. 49% said to focus on their health, while only 8% said to focus on work. I found that fascinating as we were doing some show prep this morning. Only 8%.
That's interesting. Also, some of these I feel like a little confused by, to be fair. 8% said focus on work. 8% said pursuing activities. 11% said relationships.
I would think that one would rank a little bit higher.
I would think that a lot of these would rank higher. Relationships, pursuing activities, faith, religion, those things, all of those pieces make up what at least I would consider not only an enjoyable life, but even an enjoyable retirement. You know, you're no longer working, you're going to need some activities.
For sure.
You're no longer working, you probably need some additional relationships. A lot of us build relationships at the office, but we need to expand a little bit. Also, family's pretty important. So I always wonder when we look at surveys how the questions are asked, because I know that has a big impact on the overall results.
Depending on how you frame the question. I mean,
right.
You can go answer searching You know what I mean? Like you can silo people into certain answers by how you frame the question. So I don't think you're wrong on that one. I just found that interesting, the work part of it, because you get to that age and it's like, I did my time. I don't need to focus on it. But then you look at the finances and it's, almost 40% said finances were important. So it's like, I kind of feel like those two are related. And our next article, the race for AI could be driving up your power bill. After nearly 20 years of relatively stable prices, U.S. residential electricity rates increased almost 15% between 2022 and 2025, out-averaging general inflation over the same period. Some consumer advocates have put the increase squarely at the feet of hyperscaled data centers that have expanded across the nation. As of mid-2025, there are over 500 power-hungry data centers in use, with another 180 set to come online by 2028. So we have the almost perfect storm of events conspiring to drive up prices for a consumer. We have a explosive new demand for energy. Mm-hmm. We have an aging power grid that was never meant to meet the demands that are being placed upon it. And we also have the cost to rebuild infrastructure after a series of unfortunate weather events. And, just going through them, we had the polar vortex in Texas that did a lot of damage to the infrastructure down there. We had Hurricane Ian and Eileen, 22 and 24. And then we had the wildfires in California. So all this is to say, what can the consumers do to mitigate some of this? We can have
walk.
Well, I mean, there's that. More efficient. I was going to go in the direction of more efficient light bulbs, timing mechanisms on light fixtures so that they automatically go off when you leave a room.
You could get those washboards so you don't have to do the laundry. You just run it up and down the board.
Well, you could do the same thing with your heat and air conditioning, which is to really get something where you can set the levels so that you're not overcooling or overheating when you don't need to.
That's true.
Solar panels, and just a general diligence.
You could get a butter churn.
Okay, everyone's got jokes this morning, which is great.
Is that before the big rock that you have in the backyard so you can do the laundry instead of using laundry?
That's why I said the washboard. You guys missed that one. Or we could get like a human-sized hamster wheel. You could generate your own electricity.
Or you could hire someone to do all these things and improve the economy.
All right. Moving on to our next article. REITs offer income and diversification. Real estate investment trusts, or REITs, can offer consistent income streams and help with diversification. If you've owned a broad stock funds before, it's very likely that you've had some exposure to REITs, as about 85% of equity funds contain REITs. The most common type of REIT is an equity REIT, which uses the combined capital of a large pool of investors to buy and manage income-producing properties. Typical REITs focus on a specific type of building. You may have medical facilities, you could have hotels, cell towers, soon to be data centers.
Also, they what was a popular
self-storage.
You took the words right out of my mouth, which is storage container storage units, and then also another more popular sector of this part of the economy was retirement aging centers, right? Like
yes.
Active adult communities.
Yep, but actually the one that I would really look to invest if they actually had it today.
Yeah.
Assisted living and memory care facilities.
I thought that. Okay, so they haven't developed the memory care.
They haven't pulled these yet.
That's interesting.
And that's really the advantage of a REIT, which is you're buying into a diversified fund of properties. You're having somebody else manage it, and what you're really looking to is these are yield instruments. They're not really for growth; they're for yield. So,
so you're looking for income.
It's an alternative dividend-paying type of strategy because we know with a REIT, they're required to pay out, 85% of at least 85% of the income.
You stole my thunder, because as of the end of 2025, equity REITs had paid an average dividend of 4.1%, almost triple the S&P of 1.4%. And, while REITs can be an effective income-producing asset, it doesn't come without risks. Share prices can be volatile and are especially sensitive to interest rates. REITs shares struggled in the high interest rate environment between 2022 and 2025. A lower rate environment could help in that regard, but there are additional risks associated with REITs, and some of those are deterioration in the national, regional, or local economies in which the REITs operate.
So that's just very similar to if the sector in which you invested in isn't doing so well, just like
software as a service.
There you go. Just like software has taken quite a pummeling this year. If your particular concentration of REITs, be it like you talked about, Rob, hospitals or hotels, if that part of the real estate market takes a hit, you're probably going to see that reflected in your REIT.
Absolutely, and moreover, there are tenant defaults that one needs to be aware of, and then there are cyclical conditions related to supply and demand that have to be taken into account as well. All of this is to say, before you make any changes to your portfolio, you want to sit down with a financial professional to make sure that any changes that you make are going to be in line with your time horizon, your risk tolerance, and, of course, your financial goals.
I would just say the last thing about the REITs is they do not function like other types of securities, like mutual funds, index funds,
can
ETFs.
Be illiquid.
They can not only can they be illiquid, they tend to be illiquid, in that there are certain times in which you can redeem your shares, meaning that if you need access to the funds, you may be in a position where you do not have access to those funds, unlike other investments where you make the decision as to when you're going to make sales or even more purchases.
I think you make a really good point here, and it leads to the conclusion that REITs can be a part of an income strategy, maybe a sector piece, but certainly because of the liquidity issues and the potential default issues, they shouldn't be a core.
Right, and that's why, although we talked about yield, we're not comparing them to bond instruments or other fixed income instruments. So there are other ways to garner yield that doesn't necessarily make it safe.
True.
Right.
Rob, what's our last article about?
Our last article, what can you learn from your tax return? Tax season is behind us, but don't stash away that tax return just yet. It's full of information that might help improve your finances. For instance, are you contributing enough to your retirement savings accounts? Are you withholding the appropriate amount? Are you stuck with a big tax bill, or are you getting a big refund? Are you giving the government an interest-free loan?
Right. And although it might feel great when you get that springtime bonus, if you're one of the people that might be doing some over withholding, are you cutting yourself short throughout the year? Either are you over withholding and not able to contribute more to your retirement account? Are you over withholding and then having to make distributions from other places or borrow money? This might be an opportunity for you to reevaluate. Now, many people are thinking, it's $2,000-$3,000, but why don't you? Potentially, but why don't you look back over the course of the year and see, like, what extra did we have to put on the credit card? What extra did we have to borrow? Or what did we have to forego? And then all of a sudden you get it in April.
Absolutely.
I had an interesting visit with some, and they're going to become new clients this last week. A couple of teachers, they had very nice pensions because of the state income retirement system.
Sure.
They hadn't accumulated a lot of money either in IRAs or after-tax assets because they had children, which they ended up putting through school and weren't heavy on student loans, et cetera. And when we did their income plan, we found that they would really truthfully be in very good shape. And then with the windfall profit tax changes that occurred, they were going to be getting a few extra dollars from the Social Security benefits they'd accrued from other things.
Very cool.
What was interesting is that one of them had retired, the other hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the retired teachers, of course, retired teachers are like retired lawyers. Like, they never go out of business.
Especially with, unfortunately, the lack of new teachers. There's been a bit of a teaching shortage. So I know that, for example, PSRS, in the past, once you retired and took your pension, you could not go back as a substitute teacher. They've lifted that restriction.
And this particular client was actually doing that. And so, I asked them, I said, are you paying taxes?
Well, have you paid your taxes?
Well, no. I mean, I said, let's take a look at your tax return. We found that they were still paying federal taxes. Obviously, they were, because one of them had wages. The other one obviously had pension benefits.
And they're Missouri
and
residents.
they were terrific savers, but they didn't have a lot of after-tax savings or, frankly, pre-tax savings because of the pensions and how they decided to take money home and deal with debt
Sure,
issues,
so they don't have a lot of liquidity.
So what I suggested to them was I said, let's look at your return. We did. And we also found that they were saving approximately about $8,000 a year from her work.
They were so she was doing some substitute teaching, and they were putting aside in the savings account about $8,000 a year.
Right. So, my thought was, should we maybe consider making this tax-deductible savings?
Because they were still paying taxes because he was still working. And also the wages she was earning are taxable.
Right. And she was eligible to obviously make an IRA contribution, pre-tax one. They could have done Roth, but frankly, I didn't think that made a lot of sense because they never had one.
Well, also,
they'd have to wait 5 years, all that kind of stuff. But having the immediate tax deductions would have been of great benefit.
Also, the Roth doesn't give any tax deductions.
And what's funny is also, as a sideline, they were getting about a $3,000 refund every year because they were over withholding on his pay. So all of those kind of things lined up. And I said, well, what do you do with this money? And they said, well, it's a trip fund, or actually in most cases we put it back in savings. I'm like, okay, you're saving. Why don't we just make some of this tax-deductible savings?
Right.
And then you'll have another pool of dollars to access that'll be there for you.
And they would have even more than a $3,000 refund. Or,
Right.
They would reduce withholdings and essentially pay less taxes throughout the year.
And what you think about it, it's like, okay, if we do a deductible contribution and our refund goes up,
ooh,
well, the refund is really funding a lot of the
helping to fund the
contribution,
contribution,
etc. So,
well, because theoretically they had $12,000. Sorry, they had $11,000 of excess because $8,000 in savings plus the $3,000 they got back from taxes, which was their own forced savings with the government with no interest. So you got $11,000 there, which is more than the maximum $8,600 IRA contribution in 26 for someone over 50. Very cool.
I know our listeners are going, yeah,
why not?
That totally makes sense. And the problem for them is, like most folks, is when you're on the inside, it's hard to see what's outside, what's available to you. And obviously, our visit with them was great because at the end of the day, they didn't have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in retirement savings or after-tax savings.
So now we're going to create some.
And so what we're doing is we're working to build that fund.
And I think that this is a great example of what happens with many of the people that we visit. Everyone sets up habits. We're working. Someone's paycheck pays X, Y, and Z. The other person pays A, B, and C, and then we do X. So you set up a system,
the family math,
and unless you see a reason to change it, someone loses a job, another expense comes up where you have
or an expense gets dropped away.
Right. So until you really have to make significant changes to things, we kind of let a set it and forget it mentality, which is nothing wrong with that, especially when you're able to create savings, be able to retire, all those pieces. But eventually we may find that we can be of some assistance in the family math, which is just let's redirect a few of these things around to make what you already have better. You've already put excellent saving practices in place. Why don't we just redirect how and when we're saving?
Right. But I mean, in many cases, because we're looking from the outside in, we're basically saying, hey, have you thought about this?
Sure.
And letting people then say, hey, does this make sense to fit into my family math or not? And the truth is that in most things that we're discussing with folks, it isn't black and white. Sure. It's not right or wrong. It's does it feel good? Does it make sense to you? Is this something you can get behind and support? And if the answer is yes, then you know what? You change your behavior. If it's not, guess what? Continue to do your thing because as I've, have said in the past, and, I think folks realize is that when they come to see us, we had nothing to do with the success that they had up to that point.
Certainly.
Most people are in a position where they think they'd like to retire.
They're approaching it, hopefully.
And they need somebody to put together their game plan so that they can make what they've done work for them. So it's great.
It is. So
if we can add to their trough of ideas, information, and help them improve their family math, that's what it's all about.
That's right.
So it's fun. Again, Rob, great newsletter. We always appreciate you monitoring that and keeping the stuff up on the web. Again, our phone lines are open. I didn't say again before, but no. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877, or from the more popular way that people are contacting us today, the text line, 84126. We're open for your texts and your calls because truly we're one of the very few live financial talk shows.
That's right. So what's more important is what's on your mind. So don't hesitate.
And we've had our first texter text in, and our texter writes, good. Alrighty.
It was like from the soundboard that you created. Nice. Go ahead.
Good morning, guys. Love the show. I'm not complaining, but it seems as though the markets are really rocking right now. How worried are you, if at all, about the market possibly overheating? It seems as though we're making a new high every other day. Should I be concerned? Are you concerned?
No.
You're never concerned.
No. I'm not concerned. I'm enjoying seeing this. Frankly, I think that we've been held back a little bit because of, obviously, what's happening in the Gulf.
So we had some geopolitical issues that have held things back.
Exactly. But this economy's in a great place. I mean, I don't imagine. Look, it's going to happen someday. Mm-hmm. I don't see a recession in the near future. We just had our jobs report yesterday. Strong jobs report. All I can do is I go back to what I think of as I call my empirical information. I go to the restaurants. Your mom doesn't cook anymore. She's listening, but she knows it's true.
Well, she's certainly not cooking tonight.
She's retired. She's retired.
If you had any hopes of that.
No, that was already taken care of. So we'll probably eat at Lomar Park.
Oh, you're going to the
go.
art fair.
Exactly, which is a lot of fun. Great thing to do when you're in St. Louis. Don't everybody show up this afternoon, please.
It's a Mother's Day celebration.
Actually, you're right. So I look at the restaurants, and they're all full. They
are quite busy.
And the prices have gone up, and I'm thinking, how the heck can these people afford this?
But they do.
And the second thing is, the second way I look is my very good friends. I call them the three wise men.
Your construction crew?
Exactly. The sewer guy, the asphalt guy, and
concrete
guy. And my question to them at least once a month is, tell me about your backlog. When construction backlogs are strong, we're rocking. When they start weakening, we know that we're on the way to a recession. So my boys are telling me life is good.
I think those are all pleasant points. And not inaccurate points. I agree. We've seen excellent numbers. We're getting through earnings season.
Consumer is strong.
Consumer is strong. I also think as we are moving through our current earnings season, I believe we're at about 93% of S&P 500 companies are reporting positive earnings, meaning they're meeting expectations and potentially exceeding them, which is fantastic. We have had this question more than once over the last week or two with I would call it a meteoric rise from our pullback, especially in the NASDAQ, over a 20% rally. I've had other clients ask this question, which is, are we concerned about the market's rapid recovery? And I think I've heard a few really good points that you've made, Dad, over the last few client visits, which is things are changing. We are all cognizant of the immediate access to information, not only information, but news. So news is happening more rapidly, which means we are consuming it more quickly, which means the traders are consuming it more quickly, who are human beings too, obviously, that use the power of technology and algorithmic trading, but at the end of the day, they are human beings as well, which means we've seen, I believe, we're over 3 V-shaped recoveries over the last 6 years, which is the market hits a bottom and then rallies off of that bottom, never returning again to what they call retest.
Let me see if I can guess what COVID, the tariffs, and this.
So far, right? I mean, we're not out of the retest range yet, so to speak, but we've seen 3 V-shaped recoveries. That used to be one of the more rare patterns when we're looking at stock market analysis. So I think that's an interesting development over time, and that modern time, we may see changes to stock, what is common in stock trading. So we have to take that under consideration. And then the second thing that you mentioned is if you're working with a professional or you're managing your own portfolio, hopefully you've designed or you've worked with someone to design some rules of how you're going to operate in the market, not only in good times, but also not only in the bad times. That's what we usually think about rules. When are we selling? When are we selling? But also in the good times. And we, as a matter of course, are rebalancing our client accounts on a quarterly basis, which means we are skimming hopeful gains, feeding losers, creating cash for income, creating cash for capital consumption events as time goes on. So the ultimate goal is that you're living off the interest and the earnings of your portfolio, rebalancing to hopefully, one, course correct any over concentrations that are created when one part of the market rises more rapidly than the other. So rebalancing you back into your risk tolerance, but then also rebalancing you to meet your needs. So if you are consistently doing that over time, you'll be able to ride the waves, and the rises in the market are going to be helpful and impactful in your portfolio, but you're also not taking the ride and never, taking a little bit off the table at each point.
I've said many times, and I do feel this very deeply. If you believe that the greatest days of this country are behind us, then you shouldn't be invested. But if you believe the greatest days of this country are ahead of us, which also includes markets continuing to grow, etc., these things that occur in the middle, these
ebbs and
pullbacks,
flows.
The ebbs can truly be, if you look at it that way, ebbs are really buying opportunities. But as Erin mentioned, because we're constantly, and I mean several times a year, rebalancing portfolios to capture gains.
Continuously, yeah.
If there are gains. We're trying, et cetera. And historically over the last several years, it has been that way. It's great. You don't have to worry about the pullback so much because we're actually adding money back into the capital portion, as well as, like you said, honey, having cash available then to meet your income needs so that we don't have to worry about volatility. And that's something that I'm kind of proud of. And no matter what reading that you do, it talks about, if you withdraw a certain amount, et cetera, if the markets go, if your return is down, then you pull out less, matching those things. We've never done that. Clients have always, they have a consistent income that they need to
make their life work.
And guess what? We're not going to change that.
Also, you make a great point. We don't reduce client income when we see negative markets. We are also hopefully not increasing client income when we see positive returns in the market, because the ultimate goal is that the positive years in the market will help us muddle through the not so positive years. We need to create additional gains in the portfolio that you are not taking as income in order to essentially pad your portfolio, create more opportunity for growth in the good years. So when
or conspicuous consumption, which we also know
we're skimming a little extra, but
things happen.
Sure, we're skimming a little extra, but the ultimate goal is that over the long period of time, we are able to bank some of our excess returns to create some protection for you in the long run.
That's terrific.
And, I would just jump in here and say that I think this is a perfect example of not trading with the news cycle. If you look at the last 6 weeks, there's no oil coming out of the Gulf. It could be renewed strikes. We're almost halfway through this year. We haven't had a rate cut. And, oh, by the way, it's an election year, and yet markets have really recovered. Now, if you were to...
That'd be the traditional climbing the wall of worry.
Exactly. And if you traded according to the news cycle, you would say all this news is muddled at best, bad at worst. I don't want to be involved. And that would be the exact wrong way to go about this.
Sure.
And now that we've lived through a good half dozen of these events just over the last 6 years, it's not like we don't have the evidence and the experience to draw upon. Sure. So that's my takeaway from it, is that, the news cycle and the markets
don't always correlate. In
fact, more often than not, they don't. And, to the listener at home, they go, that doesn't make sense. But yet, here we are.
Right.
Well, again, and that really leads back to something that I learned in business school, which is what they call the market expectations theory. And that basically is that investors are driven by the expectations of future profits, not by political or geographical, geological, whatever they, et cetera. They're just not. And you can see that when things are, oh my God, but the economy's rocking, guess what? Mm-hmm. Hold on tight, baby.
I can't remember who said the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, which I think is the same idea. You can't tell the market what to do. When we hear people say, oh, the market got it wrong.
No, you got it wrong.
Right.
Arguing with the market becomes very, very expensive.
It does. But you know what isn't expensive? Holding on through our first break of this hour.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these brief messages.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Lang with Carter Pet Hospital, inviting you to join me every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. with the Animal Advice Show. We'll talk about everything regarding dogs, cats, and other domestic animals. We'll discuss nutrition, training, regular checkups, invite special guests, and, of course, answer your questions. Join us every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. for the Animal Advice Show on the Big 550 KTRS, the Animal Talk of St. Louis.
You're selling your home, and I want to buy it. This is Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I am ready to pay top dollar for your home. No contingencies, no inspections, no monkey business. I buy your home no matter the condition or location, and you walk away with cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867, 314-283-0867, or at robankproperties.com. That's ROBANG properties.com.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newssetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's approximately 9:38 here on the Big 550 KTRS. 20th anniversary of this show.
Today
on the air. Actually, it was, I guess you would say today was April 6, 2006 is when I jumped on the airways. And before we get into a discussion about this, I want to talk about a couple areas. Number one is about the show itself, but also about the things that I've learned, as well as Erin has been with me for many years, and obviously Rob has too, is that what are the things that we've learned along the journey? First of all, it's easy, but we need to thank the station. My good friend Mark Dorsey, who's our president and general manager, for being a very good friend and for permitting us to bring our ball into his park every single week, and we certainly appreciated that. It's a privilege to be here. Second, and maybe more importantly, is to our listeners. Thanks for being loyal. Thanks for listening. We hear from many folks that they actually tune in to us on purpose.
That's right.
Which is
intentional.
It's intentional, and like my wife doesn't even want to listen. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We're glad that we can give you advice that sometimes she's remiss to take.
Sure.
And then certainly to those folks that have, through our show, visited with us for coaching sessions, and eventually many of them have become clients. We want to thank you because this is what it's all about. And I would say that I'm very fortunate. I don't care what compliance says, but we do have clients. Every single week we receive calls for folks to come in, our listeners.
Or friends and families of listeners.
Mostly listeners. Because they want coaching sessions. and many of them become clients, and it happens every single week of the year. So it puts us in a very wonderful position because that's what keeps the show going. So thanks for listening, and continue to listen. And thank you for the comments and the support.
All the texts.
Oh, my God. Last week, I don't think we got to one of our subjects, which is great because, what's more important is what's on your mind, not ours.
That's right.
And we appreciate folks helping us with the show, but also to the support for those folks after the show that put their faith in us to be their coaches and their guides. And truly, there isn't anything more valuable in my life than that confidence and trust. So we do want to thank you. Before we get into what we learned, I just want to talk a little bit about the show, how I created it and how I thought it would be a little bit different. And frankly, that's why I've been told that we're one of the most successful shows in the country. And here's why. I went on the air on May 6th of 2006, and unfortunately I signed a contract with my first and only contract with the station in April. So I had about a month to get my act together, but also to listen. And as you can imagine, 20 years ago, there weren't that many financial shows, either on television or certainly on television, and definitely not on the radio.
But there were a few on KTRS already, right? Or
No.
at least there weren't?
No, there weren't.
Okay.
There was only one. It was a mutual fund store, and that was a
national.
Do I have what I like, and do you like this fund? And we're not allowed to do that kind of a show, so that was automatically out.
How nervous were you? I mean, because you don't have a background in radio or TV, so, I mean...
Well, actually, Rob, I did. When I was in high school.
Oh, good Lord.
Walked right into that, did you not?
My friends and I, and this is, again, we're talking about 1973.
They had radio then.
They did have radio then. And actually, AM radio was very popular, so was FM. And one of my friends got his hands on a bootleg, we call it, FM converter. And FM transmitter.
So you were illegally transmitting?
Yes, and we called it WEED radio.
Sounds like a bunch of teenagers.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. And so obviously, you know how we got ready for the show every week. But that was kind of fun. We did that for about 2-3 months, and it was mostly progressive rock and roll. But you could appreciate that.
Of course.
Okay, I mean, being
Maybe
such a straight guy that I am, I mean, you wouldn't imagine that, but it really is true. So that was my only. Hey, let's listen to Roundabout by Yes or something.
So that totally took the edge off.
Yeah, no. No.
I'll
get back to that. I'll get back to that in a moment.
As a matter of fact.
And actually, Eric Gabrielson, my friend, my producer, who's been with me on every single show for the last 20 years.
I mean, literally, the man does not take a sick day.
No, he doesn't. He's fabulous. So I started listening to shows. And frankly, most of it, I mean, there wasn't really hardly any internet at that point either.
Sure.
It was kind of weak, but I would listen to various shows, and to be honest with you, I didn't like any of them. And the reason was most of the shows where the host would get on and say, "We're going to talk about this topic," and then they talk about, they'll say, "Here's a problem that you have," but they never give you the solution. Or here's a problem that you have, and by the way, it leads to...
Here's a problem you don't even know you have.
Right, and by the way, it leads to a product that you're going to purchase from us, or it's going to lead you to... Every single question was... Nobody's live either.
Sure.
So it was all taped, and it was called You Have to Call Us. We're the only solution. So
you weren't a fan of the layout in 2006 of what you could garner in St. Louis.
So honestly, I thought to myself, what I want to do is tell stories. I want to share stories about people that I visit. What are their real life issues?
Mm-hmm.
This is what the issue was, and basically share what my thought process was, and then give them and provide what I thought were reasonable solutions. I thought people might find that entertaining, and at the same time get to understand my own bedside manner.
And your philosophy on planning.
Exactly. And so that's what we did. I started telling stories. And what's neat is that, again, all the, as I like to call it, the fodder, material for the show comes from people that we visit with, our clients, our prospective clients, every single week. So they're real life things, real life people, and everybody's now called Joe and Sally, but could be Tom, Dick, and Harry.
You used to be you used to be a lot more creative in that vein. You had
Lucy and Ricky and
Jack and Jill,
Bill and Hillary.
Who was the?
I didn't really like Bill and Hillary.
You did go with Bill and Hillary a little bit.
I caught the tail end of the
Bill and Hillary's.
Yeah, the Bill and Hillary era.
Well, I think people were catching on, so we just decided to go with tried and true Joe and Sally.
Well, we could do all the presidents, George and Laura.
Certainly. And I would certainly tell you that at the same time, I found that most shows, and truthfully, they're like this today. And again, I'm not dissing anybody directly.
Directly?
Well, I'm not. But what happens is it's about fear. You're going to make these mistakes. It's going to blow you up. You're going to do this, and et cetera. Those are fear-motivated shows. We don't do fear.
We are not motivated by fear.
No, I mean, the truth is that planning for retirement is stressful for the people that are in it because it's their life. But for us, it's joyful. I mean, people don't make mistakes that they don't know about.
Right, people aren't intentionally choosing wrong options.
Exactly. And the entire process of meeting with folks, helping them find their way, creating that game path, that game plan, laying the bricks in the yellow brick road, as I like to call it, for them, couldn't be more joyful. And at the end of the day, as I've said over the last 20 years, retirement planning has two basic parts. And this is it. There's the math, which is really the science part. And then there's the art.
Which is the investing part?
Which is creating a portfolio designed to deliver the results that you need from the income part.
Which is the science part. So the art delivers the income, right? The art delivers the income the science demands, so to speak.
The cart is the art part. The science always is the horses. It's the one that's pulling the cart. One other thing that the planning paradigm that I have adopted, and obviously the rest of my wonderful advisors and crew have adopted, is something that is unique in the industry. You don't hear people talking about it. People talk about retirement planning as a replacement of current income as a percentage, or a dollar, or a magical dollar amount.
Oh, that you have saved and set aside. Okay.
That ain't it. What it comes down to is your life is equal to your spending. The life that you've built is based upon how much you spend every single month to make the lifestyle that you created work. Our philosophy is to fund to 100% of your after-tax income. And I will tell you that using that model as the science part, everything works back from that. What we have found, and this is anecdotal, but again, this runs across
over 650 families and 25 plus years of work.
Exactly. It tells me that we're right. Because I honestly, Erin, and you know this, you've seen this for the last 12, 13 years. I have never had a client come back to us and say, we don't have enough money every month.
You have to go back to work.
Well, because we funded to their true actual after-tax spending target.
I also think in addition to seeing the formula play out positively with current clients, it is something that is very understandable for people sitting on the other side of the table.
And we tell you about it every week.
Right. And so when we're sitting down with current or prospective clients and we are going through this math together, it's something that is not only easily understandable, but we can reincorporate it back into other parts of their life because, okay, how much are we spending? We don't need to know what you're spending it on. You can absolutely bring us the spreadsheet that goes down to the haircut costs $60.
We just need the number.
Or not.
Right, because really what we just need is the number to make sure that we have enough gas in the engine to make your car go, essentially. And I think that breeds a lot of confidence heading into retirement because, yes, this is a stressful situation for most people retiring. You're doing something you've never done before. You're transitioning from most people work 30-plus years, or at least the majority of your adult life before we get to your 60s. That means you're going to step into something that's you've never experienced before. If you're not worried or scared, then that's fantastic. But, we find the majority of people do have some concerns. I think that our formula helps ease those concerns because in addition to building confidence through cash flow, building confidence through understanding the plan of how the cash flow gets there really does create some additional comfort
And working with a veteran of the financial markets for over 40 years, retirement planning for over 25, Jeff has seen a lot of volatility, and the portfolios
he's seen a lot of everything.
The portfolios that he's put together have been stress tested by the last 25 years, and as we just said, no one's had to
go back to work.
Exactly,
unless they wanted to.
Exactly. Sometimes people get made offers they can't refuse, and we understand that.
Well, look, I mean, what happens here is that it's the math, and what I think that I would like to share with folks, and I hope that they will take this to heart. Everybody's math is ultimately the same.
The formula.
The formula is the same. You if you're working, you're paying taxes. They're withholding money for retirement benefits, for health care, FICA, all that kind of stuff. You come down to a bottom line number. Whatever amount of that is that you're spending over a monthly basis, that's your world. When you go to retire, we subtract off the fixed sources of income that you'll be receiving, mostly Social Security. Some people have pensions, some people have rental income, etc. Once we come down to that bottom line, our goal is to replace that income.
Plus the taxes it costs to get us there.
Exactly. And so formulaically, we do this for you. We go through this every week, and it's not a secret. This is how we do it. And frankly, then we have a portfolio that's designed to deliver, based on a prudent rate of withdrawal, that income stream.
Over a long period of time.
Where the fun for us is, that's really just the beginning. Once we've created the game plan, folks invite us into their life. That's really what they do. And it's a real privilege to be there, and then helping them with other financial decisions, which is, when do I elect my Social Security? When does it feel right? When does it make sense financially to do so? Getting them hooked into, in many cases, is Medicare. You know, they're leaving their health care from their employer, who chose it for them for their entire working lifetime. They now have to choose it. It's theirs. It becomes theirs. It can become personalized for them. And making sure that's done on a timely basis is fine. And then finally, we have obviously a whole lot of other issues incorporated there about debt financing, et cetera. But
estate planning.
That's the big deal.
All those pieces.
I came into this business as a life insurance agent. That's where I started. That was with my dad. You know, it's 50 plus years ago. And it was all about planning for someone's family when that breadwinner wasn't there, delivering money at the appropriate amount of time. And I've always felt, and I guess I brought this with me for 50 years, is that helping you pass the assets that you have on to the people that you love, to the organizations that you want to do, in the most tax efficient and tax effective way, without the tax courts or Uncle Sam taking a big bite, ultimately is the most important thing that we can do. And it's called making the wishes happen. You write the legal documents to say this is the direction, but we're the ones at the end of the day
that execute the wishes.
That execute that for them. And truthfully, having an opportunity to see this happen, and look, it's not wonderful. We probably, unfortunately, lose 3 to 4 clients a year because of their age, sometimes because of health. But to follow that through to the end.
Well, it's like the last work that we get to do for our clients, and hopefully we get to continue that on with their families.
Right.
But it is the last step in the whole process for our current clients, is to make sure that to do everything that we can to make sure that their money outlives them, and then to make sure that however they would like to pass those assets on, that it's efficiently and effectively done for them.
Well, and interesting, obviously, honey, over the last 20 years, things have changed. The tax laws certainly have changed. The Secure Act was the biggest change in my mind in the last, 50 years since I've really been in business. Because now we're tasked at this point, because most of our clients have large pre-tax accounts, IRAs that they didn't consume or their spouses didn't consume. Now we're now in a situation where, guess what? We now have to provide planning for the next generation. We sit with them, we tell them, hey, these are your options. It's not just, oh, by the way, this is a lotto, we run away with the money. That doesn't happen. And we haven't seen that happen. And we do retain over 90+% of our clients' assets after their death with their heirs. But then they have the ability to, and I think, and this is something we impress on our clients, they have an opportunity to really make a financial impact on the people that they love afterwards in a way that their parents or grandparents never even conceived or imagined because they weren't saving in that way.
That's right.
That being the case, what happens is now we're tasked with something which is more fun. So we're really doing multi-generational planning, and that's the best. I mean, it's the best. Being able to put a floor of financial security, or at least the base, for somebody is great.
That's right. And why don't we take our second break of this hour, and we'll be right back.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Tell you about a dentist office, My Dentist Office, and their new location now open in Lake St. Louis, Lake St. Louis Dentistry. Dr. Landgraf and the group of dentists have been my dentists my entire life. They've been my parents' dentists for their entire lives, and you don't keep generation after generation of clients unless you're really good at what you do. Now with 3 locations, Florissant, Creve Coeur, and the new one, Lake St. Louis Dentistry, half mile from 4064, and you can get an appointment today. Check out My Dentist, LakeStLouisDentistry.com.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants, the cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at SimplySecureDentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or SimplySecureDentures.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, we're back for the last 2 minutes of hour number 1 of Straight Talk on Retirement. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And we've got a text that just came through, and the texter writes, I heard this morning that in July we will not be able to control or handle our banking or savings investments without the government releasing it. Sounds crazy, I know, but the world is crazy. Is there any truth to this? Thank you.
No truth to that. There's no mainstream decision on that or anything of that nature. I think that's a confluence of a few things that have gone on. Increased surveillance, money laundering issues, how much you can take out of your account without having to sign for it. Not that you can't have it, but there's going to be a federal record that you took X number of dollars out or put X number of dollars in. But aside from that, there are no proposals to freeze your assets or confiscate them in any way. And with that, we'll be back after these messages.
Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement. Your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. We buried the lead this morning because for you, for all of our listeners, we have Frank Ellis in the house to chat about Medicare this morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Frank.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone listening out there. It's been a while since I've been on the show, so really excited to get back in it and share our story with you this morning about one of our clients named Mark. I think this is going to be an interesting story. I don't know if a lot of people have heard about this program, the Medicare Bridge program for GLP-1 medications that are coming out on July 1st. So this story can be very beneficial for a lot of these clients that are on these GLP-1 medications. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so if you're someone that's on a GLP-1, so those are the weight loss medications.
Mm-hmm. Or you're someone that
wants to be on,
exactly,
or is hoping to be.
Have thought about it.
Right? Maybe this will be a good topic for you to hear.
That's right. Maybe your doctor has mentioned it in the past, and maybe you've held it out because, maybe your plan doesn't cover it. So this will be a good opportunity for people that are in those exact situations.
And you said it's going to start July 1st?
That is correct.
Right
so
in time for summer.
It's going to start July 1st. That's right. Right in time for summer. So this is going to be a really quick rollout since we're already in May. So pay attention. Know how this program works, know how to use it to your benefit, and we're just going to give you all the details about everything we know about it.
All right, so tell us a little bit about, you had a chat with Mark.
Yeah, so Mark, he's a long-term client of ours. He came in back in January, and he asked me about the open enrollment that was going on from January 1st to March 31st, and if he could still change his plan because he had just got prescribed Zepbound. In the past, we've done a show on Zepbound, and I've mentioned that it's not covered under any of these Medicare Advantage plans or any of the traditional Medicare plans with a prescription drug plan tied to it.
So did it matter? You have traditional Medicare with a supplement, you got a Medicare Advantage plan, Zepbound on none of them?
Not covered whatsoever under any tier of Medicare.
Okay.
So when Mark asked me about changing his plan, I said, hey, since Zepbound's not covered, why don't you ask your doctor about Ozempic and Mounjaro?
So these are other therapeutics alternatives.
Similar alternatives, yeah.
These are other GLP-1 alternatives that are usually covered under Medicare as a tier 3 under most plans. Maybe not all plans, but most plans as a tier 3.
And that would be superior. So if you and your doctor, because we are not physicians on this show, so that just means we're giving you options that we see available. We're not giving you recommendations.
That's right.
If you went and chatted with if Mark went and chatted with a doctor and switched him on to the Ozempic or the or one of the other, Mounjaro, I apologize, that would have been tier 3 for him.
That is correct.
But if he had done a formulary exception to request Zepbound being added, it would have been added at the 5th tier, right?
That is correct.
So that means that sometimes it does. First of all, it does make sense to sit down and chat with somebody like Frank or Rob to find out, why your med's not covered. But then secondarily, there might be alternatives that could make it less expensive if you don't need the exact med.
That's right. Okay. That's right. So since Zepbound was not covered under any tier, but I know from experience in looking at these plans that Ozempic is covered and Mounjaro is covered.
Okay.
So when the client asks, what options do I have? Here are your options. Here is what's covered. Here's what's not covered.
Gotcha.
So Mark, he decided to do exactly that. He went back to his doctor and he did inquire about Ozempic and Mounjaro. Now, the doctor, of course, told him that Zepbound would be the most effective for him.
Which is why he chose it in the first place, probably.
That is correct. And again, this is all catered toward the individual.
Sure.
Zepbound was the best for Mark. Does not mean that, Zepbound is the best for everyone.
Sure.
So the doctor insisted, hey, Zepbound, this is exactly what we need. I think it's going to be the most effective for you. So why don't we, look for a way around this?
Okay.
So then the nurse came back and told Mark about the Bridge program.
Okay.
This GLP-1 Medicare Bridge program.
All right.
So Mark gets back on the phone with me, and we start talking and having the discussion about him potentially, just taking the Zepbound and doing this Bridge program.
How much would the Zepbound, let's go back before the Bridge program was introduced. How much is Mark's expense on the Zepbound because it's not covered?
That is a very good question, Erin. Mark actually ended up doing a lot of research whenever it came to the Zepbound. I mean, he went as far as pricing the quick pens versus the oral medication.
Versus the injectable where you do it yourself, like you have to use the syringe yourself and all that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I believe what he found, and Mark, if you're listening, I apologize if I got this part wrong, but I believe what he found was that the quick pen, which he would have to use, would be about $399 to $499. And that would be with no insurance at a discount program directly through Eli Lilly. Without any sort of discount program, it's upwards of $1,200, $1,300 a month for that medication with no insurance.
So if you're not as dedicated to the research as Mark has been, you could be looking at $1,200 a month potentially.
Oh, that is correct.
Of an expense if you're going to, do all the research on your own, figure out the most cost-effective way if the insurance company is not going to help, then you could get it down to $400, but that's still a pretty big expense.
That is $400 a month. That is not going towards your $2,100 max out of pocket on your pharmacy cost.
Right.
So, that could get, very pricey, especially, depending on if he has other medications that are formulary medications to where he's going to hit that $2,100.
Right. So the $400, the $4,800 a year that you're going to have to pay is kind of like lost in the ether, so to speak. It doesn't go towards your max out of pocket on the medical side if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, or it doesn't go towards your deductible if you have a Plan G and you need to hit the Part B deductible. It doesn't go towards the $2,100 a month. So this is like in addition to all of your normal medical expenses.
That is correct. That is correct.
So tell us about the Bridge program.
So the Bridge program, okay, I actually like this program. Will it make sense for absolutely everyone? That is still up for question.
Okay.
I'll have to take a thorough look at everyone's background and medications. Take a look at their background. That sounds like I'm about to interrogate them or something.
We're going to have to get your fingerprints in order to determine if this is a good program for you.
So I'll take a look at those medications. No extensive background checks here. But we'll make sure, that it does make sense, that the math is mathing, and it does make sense.
Okay.
So this program, it's going to be rolling out on July 1st of this year.
Okay.
Initially, when the program first began, they said that it was going to end December of 2026. So that would have only given you a few months.
About 6 months.
About 6 months to do the program.
Okay.
But recently, I believe that it has been extended until December of 2027.
So now you got 18 months.
So now you have 18 months, which is a long time.
All right.
So what this program does is it allows you to get your medication, your GLP-1 specifically 3 medications that are on this GLP-1 list. Zepbound, Fondayu, I hope I'm pronouncing that one right.
That's the new pill, I think, that's coming out, right?
And Wegovy.
Okay, so it is specific to the 3 meds you just mentioned.
It is specific to those 3 meds, and how the program is going to work is this GLP-1 Bridge Medicare program is going to allow you to get those 3 medications for $50 a month if you are prescribed for weight loss for these medications.
Is this going to be a valid program for any type of Medicare? So you've got the supplement or you've got the Medicare Advantage plan access to it?
That is correct. So the only caveat to that is, just like you said, Erin, you do have to have something. You do have to have a Part D plan when it comes to Medicare.
So you have to be on Medicare using a Part D plan in order to have access to the Bridge program. So if you're not 65 yet, I know you had the wheels turning, but unfortunately this is specific to Medicare enrollees and specific to Medicare enrollees with a prescription drug plan.
That is correct.
So that means if you're using a Medicare and a employer-based plan to supplement, you're probably not going to qualify for this?
As long as the Part D is under CMS, and that is what the catch is, because this is not ran through the individual insurance company. This is going to be administered and ran straight through CMS, which is Center for Medicare Services for folks.
So that means
that maybe not know that acronym,
right? So that means if you have Medicare Part A, but you're still on your employer's plan, you don't qualify, unfortunately.
And I just had a quick text come in. It says, Frank, Medicare will kick in for Wegovy even if I'm over age 70. So there's no age limitations. It's just being you have to have the Part D Medicare prescription drug plan, or you have to have a Medicare Advantage plan with drug coverage built in.
That is correct. So let's take this step by step.
All right.
Okay. So the first step is going to be, do you qualify for this plan? So there are no age qualifications, but there are, since it is for weight loss specifically, there are, and again, we're not doctors here. This is just things that we read and that we research and have these conversations.
Sure.
So you'll need to go to your doctor and ask these questions, but the requirements are, since it's for weight loss, that your BMI is higher or lower than X.
Okay, so you have to have an issue. So you have to have a weight issue in order to qualify. You'll have to have your doctor probably, record that into your medical record. So then, when you are applying for the program, CMS, Center for Medicare Services, will see that. They will see that you have a prescription drug plan and you've met 2 of the qualifications.
That is correct.
Okay.
So your doctor, what they're going to do is they're just going to do just like pretty much every other medication that you take for certain things. They're going to send out a prior authorization to Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So not to your individual insurance company, because again, Center for Medicare Services is the one that's going to administer this program.
Oh, and in that request, it's going to have your BMI information in it, I'm sure.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So once the doctor submits the prior authorization and CMS, once they check out on it, you are able to go to any pharmacy, Walgreens, CVS, Costco,
and so
Mercy, Dearborg's.
And since this isn't run through your prescription drug plan, you don't have to use the same pharmacy even, do you?
You do not.
I mean, you probably would, but if you were just dying to get into Costco and your plan didn't cover Costco for some reason, this would actually cover it for you.
This would cover it $50 because, again, this is not ran through the insurance.
But again, this is only for those 3 meds, so don't switch all of your meds over to another pharmacy.
Correct. So the way that these programs see it, so if you are already on like Ozempic or Mounjaro, the other one that's already covered, since those are covered under your plan, let's just say, a tier 3 Ozempic, let's just say, you're paying $50 a month for it, or maybe even, $60-$70 a month for it. Since it's already covered under the plan, they're not going to go back and say, okay, hey, now you can use the Bridge program to get the Ozempic and the Mounjaro.
Because you already have coverage.
Because you already have the coverage. That is correct.
It sounds like it's only for people who are outside of that coverage. If you have some coverage, you're going to be stuck using that. But if you have no coverage, that's when CMS comes in and says, hey, we have to make them whole again, so to speak.
That is correct. You got it. You hit the nail on the head there. So the downside to this, while it is a fantastic program.
Yeah, I was waiting for where's the catch. I mean, I know we're at 18 months. I know, so it's a limited amount of time, which I guess is why they call it a bridge. It's not forever.
You can always extend it.
That's true, too. Tell us where the catch is, Frank.
So the only catch here, the only thing that I really don't like, but again, since this is not ran through your personal insurance company, the $50 that you pay is not going to go towards that $2,100 max out of pocket. Neither with the $400, as we mentioned earlier. If you were to get Zepbound with no Part D plan that covers it, so you're paying out of pocket, you'd be paying $400. So the fact that this is going to drop that down to $50 a month, you get your prior authorization from the doctor, have them submit that to Medicare. Once Medicare checks off on that, you go get your Zepbound, Wegovy, or Fondeu for $50 a month.
So a few questions on this. Number one, can people start submitting prior authorizations now for July?
No. July 1st.
No.
July 1st, all paperwork, all documents start July 1st on this program.
Got you. So that means that you could have your visit with, if you had your visit with the doctor a year ago or 6 months ago, and they said, hey, Wegovy or Zepbound sounds like a great plan for you, and you said $500 a month is not a great plan for me. We'll pass. Well, you probably want to get in to see your doctor again so they can record your BMI, and then you'll ask them to submit the prior authorization after July 1st in order to, because they're just going to reject you right now.
Correct.
There's there's no program yet. You got to wait till July 1st, and then you probably don't have this information yet. We could probably do a follow-up sometime August or something on this. Have you heard anything about what the turnaround time is on those prior auth? Is it the same as every other prior auth where it's like you could do a rush for 48 hours or it's usually like a couple of days?
Yeah, you're right. I have not heard about that. That's a good question. Since it's going to be ran through CMS, I don't know. That's a very good question.
They'll probably, my guess is that since it's just like you started, since it's run through CMS, they'll probably announce a clock, like these are going to be reviewed within a certain amount of time, because just like if you have a prior authorization now completely unrelated to the bridge program, completely unrelated to GLP-1s, you can request a rush that'll do it within 24 hours, and then usually these are required to be reviewed, I think 72 hours or 48 is the requirement. So they may put a clock on that because CMS does take its enrollees' time very seriously, in the sense that, you can enroll up until the very day before you want coverage with Medicare. They are required to review documents relatively quickly. So this is not going to be one of those situations where, like, you submit something to the IRS and then 3 years later you hear back from them about it.
That's right.
They got to respond because the program is in existence, so you can use it. Now, we'll update people on what we hear, but most likely my guess is that unless they announce a clock, we probably will just have to see how they go.
I would think that, again, CMS, I would think they would do a good job at the turnaround time on these, because this is, people's medications.
Right.
So,
that's another really great point.
I think that the turnaround time will probably be similar to a prior authorization that's written directly to the insurance company.
And so have they even released the documentation yet, like the prior authorization form specific for the bridge program?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
It could be out there. It could
maybe
be
the doctor's
just
office
directly on the CMS site. I know sometimes that site, sometimes things, it takes a while. It could be like the day before sometimes that it comes out on their site. But that is something that I do check regularly on their website for things like that. So
very cool. All right.
Interesting timing on the rollout of this being in July, because we are away from Medicare open enrollment and we're away from annual open enrollment. So they should be able to streamline their efforts and.
Right, they're not overloaded with other paperwork when they do the rollout.
It seems like the perfect time, if you were going to introduce a rider to these programs, so to speak, would be a good time to roll it out, because you're not inundated with all the extra Medicare work that we have throughout the year.
That's a good point. That also means that when you are scheduling your reviews for the annual enrollment period, if you're not working with our office, you'll want to bring that up to whomever you are working with if on your medication list you have one of these three meds and maybe you didn't take advantage of the bridge program yet, or if we have to reapply to the bridge program, we'll have to hear about. I'm sure there'll be more paperwork involved, in maintaining your benefit and all those pieces than just the one prior auth is going to be my guess, especially if they extend the program, all those kind of things.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to do some research on that, whether you would need a prior authorization every 6 months or every 12 months. I haven't found that information out yet, or even maybe every 3 months.
Sure.
But I would assume that this will require maybe a little bit more overseeing than
just the once a year that you have to do if you're doing a normal
most medications. Exactly.
Right. Because on most meds, you do it once a year, especially if you're switching insurance carriers, you'll have to get a new prior authorization. But since this is completely out, as Frank mentioned, The only requirements are that you are on Medicare with a prescription drug plan through Medicare. So that means it's got to be an individual prescription drug plan or incorporated into a Medicare Advantage plan. That's the requirement, and that your BMI meet a certain threshold, which we don't have, and we are not physicians. So you'll just want to go to your doctor to get that piece taken care of for you. But
a question that I did have about this program is, if I have sleep apnea, can I use this program? And,
Interesting.
And from all of the information that I've seen so far, every written piece of thing that I've read on this, it shows nothing about sleep apnea. It only shows weight loss. So unfortunately, if you do have the sleep apnea, I don't think that there's sort of like an exception for sleep apnea, unfortunately, for this program. But for the people with weight loss and the BMI, yes, this will be a good program.
Right. So and also just to make that crystal clear, what Frank was mentioning is there are different therapeutic purposes for prescriptions. So, perfect example, Ozempic started out as an what was it called? Like a diabetic medication to control A1C. Thank you. Yeah. To control A1C. Now it has been expanded to help individuals control weight. Previously, Medicare was not covering Ozempic and many other GLP-1s if it was just weight-related, because originally the therapeutic intent of these medications was to control A1C.
That is correct.
So with Zepbound, there is a therapeutic category that doctors prescribe to control sleep apnea. It's also a weight loss medication. Your therapeutic need for the Bridge program must be your weight. It cannot be sleep apnea. Now, you could have both, unfortunately. If you are overweight, meeting the BMI threshold, but you also have sleep apnea, that won't kick you out of the program.
That will not.
Because you have the qualification of your BMI. Now I'm wondering, and we're getting into the weeds, and I'm sure we'll figure this out as time goes on. Do you have to have your BMI checked? And if you fall below the threshold, do they then kick you off the program?
Yeah,
which is like
those are good questions.
The med's working. Now, in a lot of cases, you never get kicked off your blood pressure medication because it's working. You keep taking it. So these are all questions that I'm sure many of you are thinking that we unfortunately don't have answers to yet. But if you're someone that you think you might qualify, there is nothing wrong with your putting in the prior auth and trying it out. And of course, if they kick you off, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But
I like that.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let them deny you.
Right. Let's try it out first, and also we'll find out whatever appeal process there is for people if they feel as though they qualify. This sounds like an easy one, though. Your BMI probably has to hit a certain number, and you have to have the prescription drug plan, so I'm sure that the appeals process is going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But
I've read those BMI requirements. I can't tell you what they mean from a medical standpoint, but I do know it's greater than or equal to 35, or it's less than 30.
Okay.
I mean, could you imagine being at like 29 point something and the threshold?
Not getting the program.
Say, Doc, I'm going to make an appointment.
They opened up Paris Baguette right next to our offices on Olive.
Right. I'm going to schedule this appointment. We're going to revisit this in about a week. And
it's going to be a fun week for me.
I'm going to dine at several places, and I'm going to go full Fred Flintstone.
They were going to recheck the BMI.
Yeah.
Run it again, guys.
If I was right up against that threshold.
I'm not there yet, Doc. Hold on.
It's going to be pizza and wings, and I think we got the NBA playoffs, so let's go.
Nice. I love it.
Before we let Frank go, do we have any text questions that we can answer for our fine listeners?
We did. We had a complimentary one up here, if I can.
All right, hold please for technicals.
Yes, here it is. I just want to give a shout out to Frank. I changed my Medicare Advantage plans recently and saved about $700 this year alone on my Monjero.
Woohoo! I love hearing that.
Okay,
$700 already. Very good.
That is great.
Yeah,
Man,
no,
that's the makings of a vacation.
Yeah,
absolutely. $700.
Heck yeah.
Well, thank you, Texter.
Awesome. And, we chatted briefly, I believe, last week or the week before about how Missouri residents may have the opportunity to make a change again with the disaster related special election period.
I think that runs to the end of June.
That is correct.
That
will end in June. So what are we, May?
We got about
9th?
Another 8 weeks of it.
So that means if you made no changes during annual enrollment, during open enrollment, and now maybe you were like Mark and you got prescribed something and it's either not on the formulary or you got it added to the formulary and it's expensive, you can always give Frank a call, 314-863-0008. He will see if there's something that we can do for you.
Yep. And if it makes sense, we'll switch that plan before June 30th. If it doesn't make sense right now, then maybe we wait until the open enrollment from October through December 7th.
That's right. And so what we do in that case is we put you on our list to make sure that we get to see you. So if we're going to have to follow the rules and regulations that Medicare lays out, but that also means that you can be top priority for, I'm not happy right now. Let's see if we can, course correct for 2027. Anything else for us, Rob?
No, we've answered all the questions.
People are writing all that information down about the bridge program. This is really timely because it's going to give people the opportunity to get all of their ducks in a row, so to speak, before sending in their prior authorizations and hopefully saving a little bit of money. So thank you for joining us this morning, Frank.
No problem. And I'm sure we'll have more information, of course, before the program goes out to some of those questions. So we'll tighten this thing up as much as we can before July 1st, and then guys get that paperwork rolling.
That's perfect. And if you have questions, you can always hit the Contact Us button on the website or send Frank an email, Franklin, L-I-N, at jblfinancial.com, and he'll be sure to get back to you. So let's take our first break of this hour. When we get back, we'll be here to answer more of your calls and texts. So see you soon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Jacob.
And I'm Beth Jacob. We're the owners of Jacob Showers and Baths.
We specialize in helping seniors age in place with bath and shower designs that are both safe and aesthetically pleasing. We can replace your current tub with a low-threshold walk-in shower, add grab bars and seats, and the shower floor is a non-slick surface. Come visit our showrooms in Fenton and Fairview Heights.
Mention the McGraw Special or select the McGraw Show from our drop-down menu online. Our phone number is 800-222-6676 or visit us online at jacobbaths.com.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
When it comes to mortgage lenders, I know you have no shortage of options. But are you working with someone local who can truly simplify the process? I'm David Goldberg with the Goldberg Group, and as a St. Louis home purchase expert, I know this market inside and out. I specialize in tough-to-complete situations for borrowers who are self-employed, looking to buy and sell at the same time, and may have been turned down somewhere else. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or seasoned homeowner, you can trust me with all of your home financing needs. Call or text me at 314-471-4030. 314-471-4030.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at Erin@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's 10:35 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talk Radio St. Louis, 20th anniversary.
Big show.
Talk on Retirement, big show. And what a great segment you guys have done on Medicare. It's always good and really an important compliment, and really it's an integral part of the plan. And that was something that Erin started about almost 15 years ago.
That's right. It's great to see how much it's grown, and it really does have a big impact on not only people's finances, but their comfort in retirement.
Well, I mean, those are the two beginning essential links, right? Which is a retirement income side as well as the Medicare side. And so, fortunately, it's what we do every day. So that's a lot of fun.
We had some texts that I held over from the last hour while Frank was here, but I promised, as always, that we will return to him. And our next texter writes, and this is really sweet. He says, "Hi, guys. Love the show. I just started taking $300 a month from my IRA. The IRA is worth about $50,000. Oddly enough, I feel guilty about it. I'm taking money away from the kids' inheritance. Is it normal to feel guilty? I am 70 years old. God bless you, sir."
Guilty? He's feeling guilty.
Well, I think actually I would say you don't have to feel guilty, but it's good to get into practice. We know in 3
Of feeling guilty?
No. Of taking money from your IRA, because we know in 3 years you'll be subject to required minimum distributions. You'll have to pull about 4%, which at this point would run, between $200 and $300 a month. So
you're right there.
Keep practicing, and if nothing else, you can certainly accumulate that money, make gifts to those kids.
Yeah, and if I could do my best to make you feel a little bit less guilty, you're not really taking that much. You're only taking about $2,400 a year. So with any luck, hopefully you can grow that back so you're not actually degrading your children's inheritance.
Well, not only that, but, let's take that even a step further. So you've taken that money. Let's assume you create a new investment/savings account after tax. You invest that grows. At your death, what happens is that will step up to fair market value. So any of the gains in that account will be, IRS says, don't even think about it. So those kids will inherit that money income tax free.
And we had another text come in, and our texter writes, "I'm old enough to take advantage of the St. Louis County Real Property Freeze. The online portal was clunky and horrible. After days of working to get through, I was finally approved. I just wanted to let you know I am saddened to learn that I'm going to have to do this every year."
Yes. I'm glad to hear that we did not have to be the bearer of bad news on that, because I have read and heard from many that this is something you have to reapply for each year. They're trying to break your will. Don't let them. Keep applying.
It's all good.
That's right.
And our next texter writes, "I'm 70, still working and collecting Social Security. I made too much to contribute to a Roth. Does it make sense to contribute to a traditional IRA, or just put it in an after-tax account?"
I think this is an excellent accountant question, because as you're preparing your taxes, we often have our clients come back and say, our accountant or our tax preparer said if we put X number of dollars into our traditional IRA, we'll be able to reduce our taxes by Y. So I would have your tax preparer run that math for you. How much of the $8,600 that you're eligible to put into your pre-tax account should you do that? Then it might make sense.
I would just add here is that if in fact you can't put into a Roth, you probably can't put into a traditional IRA as well, because you've hit the maximum limits, and therefore
there's no max limits on IRA contributions if you don't have access to a retirement plan at work.
Well,
but
right.
There are income limits for Roths in all situations, except for if it's through your Roth 401k at work.
Well, I'm assuming here from our texters language that because of their income, they're not eligible to put it in to a Roth, so they couldn't do an IRA. But what they might want to do is, are they actually making the maximum contribution limits to their employer-based plan? I would look at that first. And if that's the answer, then guess what? do an after-tax savings account. Good idea.
You don't have enough information to give you a complete answer.
Absolutely, and that is the last text we have.
All right, then.
Well, let's remind folks our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Let's start on a couple of these things, and we discussed previous. What are the things that we've learned along this 20-year journey, and then we'll probably have to take our next break of the hour, which is cool.
Right. Our second break.
Exactly. So I think it's fair to say that confidence in making the decision to retire is about having an income stream that you can count on so you can continue the lifestyle you have pre-retirement.
Just to remind our listeners, we're chatting about the things that you have learned over the last 20 years.
Yes.
Of not only being on the radio, but really your financial planning career started long before the radio.
Yeah. Confidence is in your game plan is really what it comes down to, and understanding your numbers, having a written game plan, knowing how much we need to fill between your current fixed sources and what your current after-tax spending is really, that's the key. And once we've determined that, and look, most people when they go to retire, it's a leap of faith. We look at their numbers, we say, hey, based on the capital you have and the income flows that you have, we can make this thing work for you. They want to believe us, and they do until the rubber has to meet the road. And once it begins to occur, and hopefully what they're seeing is that they're getting the income they need, their capital is being maintained and growing, they can do all the things they want to do. That's really what retirement's all about. What else have we learned?
Financial products are tools. They are never the solution. It's pretty. We'll just let that sink in.
No, I think that's really good, and it's certainly a mantra that I've used over the years.
I think that what I've noticed in working with you, Dad, over the last almost 15 years now, and having the opportunity to not only work with prospective clients, but people that have become clients, retired, and have stayed retired over the course of the time that I've been with you, which is that most individuals are not looking for product, nor are they truly looking for information. They're looking for assistance in a solution. So obviously information comes along with that, and all of the people that we work with are very intelligent. They are experts in the field they worked in, and they were able to amass enough either liquid capital or pension benefit to be able to retire. So that's an incredible feat in of itself. Shouldn't have the expectation that you're going to be an expert in financial retirement planning as well. So I think at that juncture, people are looking to say, what path do we take? Show me what it looks like. And there are products and there are tools along the way, which are products, but those are the things that help get us to where we're wanting to go. And I think that big difference there is sitting down with someone that's going to offer direction versus offer products.
Right. No question about that. And Rob, I do have this thing about being a homer here in the country, don't I?
You do. And this is a wonderful country, as you said many times. As citizens and investors, we have access to the greatest economic engine in the world. And, touching on our newsletter, the first hour, the rally that we've had, do we need any more proof? But if you believe that the best days are in front of us, you certainly want to be involved. That goes without saying.
Yeah, and our job is, as your coaches as well as investment advisors, are to get you involved in a way that makes sense for you. Help keep you in the market in times where, it looks a little iffy, if nothing else. There's uncertainty. And frankly, that's why you pay us. Something we also discussed a little bit earlier, and I think is extremely important, is reduce your exposure to the media to reduce not only your anxiety about what's happening, but also disinformation. There's a lot of, and over the years, I don't use the phrase anymore, but I used to start calling it financial pornography. every day on the internet, on television, you're just seeing stories that, frankly, aren't true. And at the end of the day, the stories usually show themselves to what they are, which is leading you to a product purchase or in some direction. Because we're in a 24-hour news media, we do have more access to information than was available to us as investors as well as citizens in the past. You have a game plan, you stick with it.
Right.
Things are never as bad as they're portrayed, nor as good as they feel.
Well, this too,
right.
This too shall pass. The
Yes.
good things and the bad things.
Exactly. So the markets are running hot. Great. Be invested. The markets are running cool.
Not as enjoyable.
Not as enjoyable, but they will turn. I mean, eventually things...
Historically, we see that
exactly,
they have turned.
things will turn.
At the most unpredictable times as well.
Isn't that the truth?
I just want to inject another one here, if I may, and talked a little bit about that confidence comes from your confidence in the cash flow. Happiness comes from the relationships that you have. And I would tell you that over the last 45 years of my career, being in a good place with the people that you love is more important than anything else on the planet. If you have broken relationships, fix them. Those are the things that will weigh on you the most. Having the money, having the ability to do the things that you want to do is great, but the relationships are really where it's all about. So repair those relationships if you can. And you know what? In many cases, I've had discussions with moms and dads. Some of them are really willing to eat crow, if that's a good way of putting it.
It is.
And others are like, I'm not going to do it. Well, if you're the adult in the room, you have to be the adult. And what's more important, winning an argument or having that relationship with your children or grandchildren, whoever it might be, do that. That will make you find the most happiness. And then, I don't want to say finally, but we know that everyone can benefit from having a coach, a cheerleader, and a friend. If the greatest athletes in the world have coaches, shouldn't you have one too? It's just as simple as that. The most successful people in the world have coaches. They have advisors. You have the ability to have access to the same level of advice that they do. Take advantage of it.
Right.
It makes sense. Find out what you don't know. Right? That's the whole point. For most of our clients, they come with us, they're in a position where financially we know that they're ready to go. And frankly, they probably think
they had
that
a
they
feeling.
are. But how do we put this puzzle together? How do we make the math problem work? And then, frankly, are we in a situation where we can now go and lead our lives, what we want to do, while we know somebody else is watching over our money?
You know what? I got to experience one of the most rewarding moments.
Oh, okay. You're not talking about the email we got this morning.
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Not this morning, yesterday.
Right.
Well, whatever. It was recent. So first, earlier in the week, we hosted a webinar on Thursday morning. Right. And
about taxes.
Very successful one, I might add.
It was quite successful. We
Many
had a
people.
Very large turnout, and also we got a lot of follow-up from people that were unable to attend for various reasons. We received an email from one of our current clients that he was unable to attend because he was enjoying a beautiful round of golf with his family.
That's a good reason.
That was a great reason.
Oh, right, a family weekend.
Right, he had a golf trip. It was great. Then, from the same client, just a day later, we got another email that showed a beautiful picture of the whole family on an all-inclusive vacation, enjoying themselves, and it was just so nice. Thanks, retirement coaches Jeff and Erin, for watching our money while we get to go out and do fun things. And I, of course, let them know that we are happy to make house calls to all-inclusive locations.
I did like that.
But it is just, first of all, it's fabulous to see people that have spent their entire working careers building towards these moments get to have these moments and enjoy them. But then it's also just fantastic to be able to see their families. We get to know quite a bit about, our clients, their children. Sometimes we even have the opportunity to meet their children, even their parents, grandchildren, but not nearly as frequently as I would like. So getting to see a whole picture of the family together, it was really nice. And I say very frequently, since I was raised in a family where we didn't build a lot of things physically. So I don't have a lot of experience with instant gratification on things. I built this, here it is.
I do resemble that not being handy remark, yes.
Yes. You have other talents and skills.
Well, I seem to remember thrusting a leaf blower into your hand. You took to it quite well.
Okay, so maybe I had... fine, but nonetheless, let me go back to... You're ruining my story, all right? So we've never really had to build all that much. Or have instant gratification. And our current job doesn't really create a lot of instant gratification. We're planning for things to happen. But being able to see that really is, you got to help build that with the client, or dad, as you like to say, polish the diamond that they brought to us. And being able to see those things come into fruition really is very rewarding. So it's great to be on the journey with so many families.
It's curious. We're really often asked. People ask me, Jeff, you're playing for people to retire. When are you going to retire?
Never. I won't allow it.
Having too much fun.
Right.
Have you ever gone to a movie and you just didn't want to see it end?
Right. Or like you read a book and now you miss the people in the book.
It's been a while since I've seen one of those movies.
Being invited on the ride, there's truly nothing more gratifying, as far as I'm concerned, to seeing people enjoy themselves and doing the things that they want to do, doing it with their family members, and frankly, in many cases, doing things they never imagined they'd be able to do.
Right.
It is really fun.
And that doesn't just mean trips. That means helping the children, helping the grandchildren, all different variety of things.
Well, it's that. And also being there for them in the not-so-good times.
That's also very true.
We are, and it's always nice to be there for the fun, but you have to also be there for the times that are negative, for the times that...
Or just last week when you took some time to... be with our client's family when we lost a client. So
yeah, and really as a coach, I would say that our defining difference, if that's a good way of putting it, at least I've always felt this way, is there are two types of people in the world, in my opinion. There are people that are the folks that look at the world as the cup is half full and the cup is half empty.
And we look at it as overflowing.
Well, we like to see us overflowing, but I've always felt that every problem creates an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And helping folks figure out what are potential options and answers in situations where they feel like they're overwhelmed is really an important function, something we can do. And frankly, coming to that solution and helping them through that is also fun as well.
And you know what else is fun? Taking our last break of the hour.
So do us a favor, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Hey, May is Women's Health Month. So, ladies, when was the last time you truly put yourself first? So many women are busy taking care of everyone else while feeling tired, off, and just not quite like themselves. That's not something you should just accept. It's Heidi here for Premier You, where they help you understand your hormones, your metabolism, and your body so you can feel like you again. Your first month is on them with a 6-month commitment. It's time to prioritize you. So book your consultation at premiertheletterinmed.com.
Sales tax holidays is now underway at Appliance Discounters. It's the perfect time to buy an Energy Star appliance. You pay no sales tax on Energy Star rated appliances, washers, dryers, dishwashers, and so much more. Plus, every appliance in the store and online are on sale. Huge cash rebates, 12 months interest-free financing, sales tax holiday at Appliance Discounters. 5 beautiful locations are always online at theappliancediscounters.com. Their savings are your savings. Theappliancediscounters.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Remember when Mom changed your diapers?
Whoa, smells like somebody needs a diaper change.
Woke up at 3 in the morning to comfort you as you screamed bloody murder?
Never goes to sleep.
And then she put you in your high chair with your cereal, and you threw it all over the floor while laughing.
Of course you don't remember that.
This weekend, give your mom a hug and a kiss from the Big 550.
KTRS.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. We've got about 3 minutes left here on our 20th anniversary show, moving forward for the next 20. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And we just had some texts come in, and our next texter writes, can't believe the show used to be an hour when now it's 2 hours. Doesn't seem long enough. Long-time listener and client here. Thank you for everything you do. Well, we really appreciate that.
Oh, my goodness. Somebody wants to listen to us for more than 2 hours? That wasn't Mom.
Thank you, cousin.
It was not Mom.
We do thank you. We do appreciate your support. And we get that a lot, which is great.
It's nice.
Our listeners continue to be listeners.
Love it.
And next texter writes, congratulations on 20 years on the radio.
My gosh, thank you guys.
We really appreciate that you tackle the hard stuff. Thank you.
Oh. Well, certainly can't shy away from it.
Hard stuff is fun. Because really what happens is, again, every problem has multiple options and opportunities available, and you just have to say, hey, there they are, and let's try to figure this out.
Yeah. And with our last minute, our last texter writes, due to life situations, I started saving later in life. I have had a hard time trying to figure out the best method of saving, high-yield savings account, IRA, etc. Where should I start?
Well, we would want to start with making sure you've got your emergency fund in place. And then I would, based on income most likely, I would still start with a pre-tax savings, the IRA account, because theoretically you should be able to get more in there, get some tax breaks while you're saving. And don't let the literature make you feel like you're behind. Most people don't truly start saving for retirement until earliest late 40s. Is truly when the ramping up begins.
Yeah, because the kids are out of the house or they're going to college. Now you
got
really
a little
have
bit more income,
exactly.
A little bit
you
less
have
expense.
The weight of 2 incomes going towards that savings goal. So I know a lot of the literature out there is going to make you feel bad about it, but you just have to
push through.
Absolutely.
It's been fun, everybody. If you want to call us, give us a call, 314-863-0008. See you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more Straight Talk on Retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.